Potentially breaking news today in boxing. It's being reported right now that Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford have agreed to have a fight. It's being reported in September in Las Vegas. It's the biggest fight to be made, the biggest fight that people want to see, and I know there's also like a lot of people who whine and cry about this particular fight because they don't think Canelo should fight, or so on and so forth, or think maybe he should fight like Boots, or maybe Crawford should fight Boots, but it really doesn't matter. This is the biggest fight to be made. I don't even think Boots and guys like that have deserved a fight between either guys personally. And not to mention, these guys are in the sunset years of their career. Makes no sense to go fight 20-something-year-olds, because what would it prove? For one, if Canelo, say, for example, beat him, it would just add to his legacy, which is already just spotless. If he lost to him, guys that are like 10 plus years younger than him, what would it say? Because age matters, guys. Age matters always. We're not singing the national anthem here. We're playing a sport, and specifically a combat sport. And once your reflexes start going, you become less competitive and ultimately not able to compete at all. So it doesn't say a lot. Like I said, age matters always in sports, especially in combat sports. It is the same thing if you were to say Crawford fight, who's even older than Canelo. What if Crawford fought Boots and beat Boots? It would just add to his legacy, which is spotless. And then at the same time, it wouldn't mean anything necessarily if Boots would win that fight. I mean, it helps them. I'm not saying it helps. It's like they're like a stepping stone, if you will. But what I'm saying is, realistically, it didn't mean anything because you didn't fight the best Crawford. You didn't fight the best Canelo. It's just like years ago, the Floyd Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. The biggest fight that Mayweather ever fought in his career, the Pacquiao fight. People wanted that fight to happen like 10 years earlier, and it never happened until they were both old. And I'm trying to remember, is Pacquiao even older than Mayweather, I think? I can't remember who's the older one of the two, but they were both old and past their prime. And in that particular fight, to make matters worse, Pacquiao comes into the fight with a torn shoulder. It's popped out of place or something. I don't know. Actually, when you slow the frames down, the damaged shoulder, you can actually see the knot on his shoulder where it's been damaged. And even at that, it was a good fight that Mayweather won in pretty dominant fashion. But it was still a pretty good fight. Like, Pacquiao was able to counter and do things against Mayweather that most fighters couldn't. Yes, Pacquiao still was fast. He wasn't at his fastest, but he was still fast. And certainly fast enough to hit Mayweather. Once again, he had that immediate shoulder surgery after the fight. There probably should have been a rematch. There never was. And now one doesn't matter. It would never matter if there was one now. That's how good that fight should have had a rematch. Mayweather never gets rematches. But there should have been a rematch. Especially when you look at to how Mayweather finished his career fighting an absolute nobody. Should have been a rematch. But there again, the bigger picture on this is the best fight would have happened 10 years earlier when both guys were still in their prime. Now, I laughingly say that because Pacquiao's personal career wouldn't end until like 7 years later. So he still he extended his career out into his 40s and recaptured the title even. So anyway, that's what you don't want to happen with Canelo and Crawford, the biggest fight to be made in the sport. You don't want the two generational talents here of this, not even past era, the era you're in today, right now, but it's getting ready to come to an end. You don't want to see it end up in a situation where both guys continue to decline. Crawford's already 37, Canelo's 34, and every time you see Canelo fight, he's taking more punches, more hits. Why? Because he can't get out of the way of the punches anymore. He's slowing down. You could see it with your eyes that he's slowing down. Now, to you and I, he's Speedy Gonzalez because we can't punch worth crap. And so, to what I'm saying is, if you have a brain, you realize, like, wow, he's hitting you fast. But what I'm saying is, if you compare him to in his top peak of his prime, he's already slowing down. And you don't want to see it get to the point where it's not an interesting fight. Personally, I think Crawford, if Crawford is like he was, say, 2 or 3 fights ago, this Israel guy that he fought the last fight was pretty tough. It was a new weight class. But personally, if Crawford can maintain his speed that he had, say, 2-3 fights ago, like the kind of speed he had against Earl Spence, I would actually think he would take Canelo and just dominate him, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not a fanboy of either guys, but I do like both guys. Don't get me wrong. I just, once again, if he's still that fast. That being said, rarely has Crawford fought someone who has good, like really, really good punching power. And there again, if Canelo can zap him with those Canelo Alvarez punches that we've come to love with Canelo Alvarez, because you don't see Crawford hardly ever take big punches, how will he take those punches, especially at 37? By the time that fight comes around, he might be 38 years old, or 37 and a half, something like that. So it's intriguing, right? Biggest fight in the sport. Hopefully it's really happening. I've already talked too much, guys. Have a great day. God bless. Bye.